week. I think that bye week after a London game and all of that travel is crucial, so I'm glad that they got it.
We know the Buccaneers have the 14th easiest strength of schedule. What do you think? What do you expect from the Buccaneers this year?
And usually when you win the division, you don't get that luxury. But I think what it comes down to is the divisions that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are playing against. Of course, they're going to play against the NFC South, so they get those three teams 2 times each throughout the course of the schedule. But the conference or the division in the AFC that the NFC South is playing is the AFC East. And outside of Buffalo, there's some manageable games in there between the Jets, the Dolphins, and the Patriots. The Patriots could be on the rise. The Jets are likely on a downswing, and the Miami Dolphins are about as middle of the pack as it gets. So they have an opportunity there to stack up a lot of wins between their own division and the division that they face out in the AFC. But they do have a tough stretch between week 5 and week 8. 3 of those 4 games are on the road, and the lone home game is against the San Francisco 49ers. They might not be as good, speaking of San Francisco, as they were a year ago, but that's still going to be a formidable group.
And that was just part of our conversation with Brandon Kravitz about the upcoming NFL season. We also talked with him about some things to watch for, a lot of things. So if you'd like to watch that full interview, you'll be able to find it on Fox Local in just a little bit. We are just about out of time here on Florida Live. We appreciate you joining us this afternoon. Been a busy day here. We've covered a lot of ground. We appreciate you joining us, and we hope you plan to join us tomorrow at 2 o'clock for another live hour of Florida Live as well. In the meantime, let's go ahead, and I'm going to give you a few seconds of this nice view of Epic Universe as it gets ready to open next week. Thanks.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Well, good afternoon to you, and welcome into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Wymer, and thanks for joining us on this Thursday afternoon, live on Fox Local and on YouTube. It is 4 o'clock, and that means it's time for today's Top 4 at 4, where we break down 4 of the big stories that we're tracking in the Fox 35 newsroom. And joining me for today's Top 4 at 4 is Fox 35's Marlisa Goldsmith. And Marlisa, we appreciate you joining us.
Happy to be here with you, Garrett.
So let's start here. We have some new details and a new timeline, really, as well, in the FSU shooting from court documents that include the indictment of the suspected gunman.
Yeah, so we just got our hands on a new investigative document that you mentioned, and we learned brand new information about what happened that day, including the timeline of the gunman's actions, the weapons he used, and the officer who shot him. So just to give you a breakdown of how this all happened, we learned that the FSU attack lasted for about 3 minutes on that campus. At 11:57 a.m. on April 17th, Phoenix Ikner, that's the suspect, he parked a Hummer on campus and within seconds opened fire. 1 minute later, Ikner went into the student union and quickly went out the entrance doors where he shot at multiple people and killed one person. He ran out of another entrance, then went back to the deceased victim and shot them again before running toward the bookstore where 2 more people were shot. At 11:59, the suspect returned to the student union, ran toward the food court where he reportedly shot and killed the second person there. That was Robert Morales. And then Ikner reportedly chased a student through the food court and shot at her. By 12 o'clock, the suspect chased people on the east side of the student union through the bushes and was ultimately shot by an FSU police officer. We learned that that police officer was Officer Cody Popple. He was riding nearby on his motorcycle when he heard gunfire. He then spotted that victim on campus, chasing and shooting at another potential victim when the officer, still straddling his moving motorcycle, stopped and fired several shots, and that's when he struck the gunman in the face, Garrett.
Some harrowing details there, and interesting to read in the true bill from the grand jury saying there is no question others would have died if it weren't for those actions that police officer, FSU police officer Cody Popple, took when he did. You mentioned him, the motorcycle still running at the time, just going directly toward where he was hearing those shots being fired. But 3 minutes and 3 seconds just of absolute terror, and very thankful that the things ended when they did. Now, as for this suspect, Phoenix Ikner, he made his first appearance in court earlier this week. He was arraigned, denied bond. He has been indicted. I did speak earlier today with Stacey Felter, who is an attorney, a former public defender herself, and she talked with us on Fox 35 News Plus about this high-profile case and what Ikner's public defender might do moving forward to try to limit the exposure, obviously with a lot of questions about this case.
I was previously a public defender in the Ninth Circuit. So it is a difficult thing, but understanding that there are things that the public defender can do, including some gag orders, making sure, because there is going to be a lot of media attention on this case. It's not just Florida. There are a lot of families around the country, maybe the world, that had students attending Florida State at the time. So it is going to have a lot of media attention, but there are some things that the public defender may be able to do to limit the exposure, to gag certain things that could be exposed to the public.
So obviously something that we are continuing to watch closely now that things are certainly moving forward fairly quickly now that he's been released from the hospital and in jail. But also, given the charges, at some point soon it will begin to slow down.
Yeah.
It's a long process.
It is a very long process, and sadly, everyone related to this case or that was involved is going to have to relive this over and over again.
Yeah. Our second story today, a teenager in Orange County taking a plea deal, being sentenced today to 5 years in prison for shooting and killing his friend.
Yeah, this is such a sad story, Garrett. This happened about 2 years ago. A 17-year-old Arden Torres was accused of killing his childhood friend, 18-year-old Jacob Farrell, at a home in Apopka back in 2023. That teenager took a plea deal and was sentenced to 5 years in prison today. Again, just such a sad case. Both of these boys were friends. They grew up with each other. The victim's family said that they actually wanted a harsher punishment, but the victim's mother says she just can't hate Arden.
Just want y'all to know he's got a lot of people that love him. A lot of people, I know Arden loved him. Jacob always told everybody before he hung up, I love you, man, or I love you. Everybody knows that. That was who he was. He was just a person that, I don't know, cared. We had our times. He, like I said, he was going through a lot of emotional things that he never experienced. But he didn't deserve this. Not one bit. No words in the whole world, no words in the world can say it was okay for that to happen. Nothing. That's all. I don't hate Arden. I gotta forgive him, but I can't right now. I can't. I really didn't think he never hurt him like that.
Gosh, it's hard to watch and hard to listen to because you can just feel that emotion and the heaviness because of a terrible situation to begin with.
It is.
And for them to have been so close and friends and like she said, I can't hate him.
Right. But it's just hard for her to find the forgiveness. And speaking of emotions, Arden actually got really emotional in court as well. And he spoke, and it was hard for him to get through his statement that he made.
I want to apologize to Jake's parents, Missy and Mike, for all the pain and sorrow that I've caused. I know that the pain will never go away, but I hope it will lessen over time. Many lives have been affected by my reckless behavior. I pray that one day that they can find it in their heart to forgive me in the pain and to forgive the pain and unbearable pain that I have caused. I would like to apologize to my family for the pain I have caused them. And I'm eternally sorry for Jake's family.
Anything further you want?
Anything further, sir?
I don't think so, Your Honor. Here's it.
Wow.
And I think even, and I'm going to play a soundbite from the judge in a minute. I think, the judge even seemed to feel that emotion because of the way he was, he directly addressed Arden in sentencing him. And I think it was, I think he could feel that emotion because it seemed there were times where, you could see it in his face and hear it in his voice as well, just recognizing the weight of this situation. Right. I mean, this is a 17-year-old kid.
Yes, not only being so young, but in all the years of reporting, I've covered several stories, unfortunately, where both parties knew each other and were familiar, and it's a little different than when you're dealing with a crime with someone that you did not know.
Right. When
they know each other, they were friends. The emotion is a little bit different than when it is two entities or two parties who didn't know each other. And so you can tell that it weighed on him. It's been weighing on him. And this was real. This was raw. This was, I don't believe anything that you could even rehearse. He could barely even make it through the statement.
17 years old, sentenced to 5 years in prison. He does get credit for time served, which is a little less than half a year.
Yeah,
it seems like.
Roughly about 150.
So he'll be
days.
21, 22 when he gets out. And I think that was part of what the judge said to him was, you're young now. You're still going to be young when you get out of prison. And here's a little bit more of what the judge had to say.
So I encourage you each day, number one, to have Jacob's name as the first thing on your mind every day you wake up in prison. And number two, each day that you're in there, you can make choices that will either set you up to redeem yourself after you get out, or take you further down the path that you've already on. Those choices will be yours. This story is still to be written by you in a way that Jacob's story doesn't get to be finished. So I wish you the best of luck. The defendant is hereby committed to the custody of the Department of Corrections.
Very profound words from that judge there.
Well, story number 3, and just in the last little bit, we got confirmation that a body pulled from the lake in Orlando is that of a missing teen. This is a scene that investigators have been out for close to 24 hours now. Yeah,
so we brought this story first to you yesterday in our newscast. Yesterday around 5:30 in the afternoon, Orlando police received a call at Pioneers Way at Cortland at Lake Nona following a report involving a group of teenagers. There were about 6 of them who had reportedly gone onto the lake on kayaks and paddle boards. There was one person who reportedly went under the water and they didn't come back up. Within the last half hour, like Garrett just mentioned, we got an update from OPD saying despite an extensive search effort, the individual was not immediately located. But this afternoon, Orange County Sheriff's Office dive team recovered the body of that missing teenager. I'm sure many more details will continue to come out. Again, OPD has been pretty tight-lipped about this over the past 24 hours or so. So there's still more information to be revealed in this case, Garrett.
Yeah, still a lot of questions unanswered. We don't know who that person is, and still a lot we don't know about this. So we will keep an eye on that situation. I know we have had a reporter out there all day. We'll have updates coming up later on Fox 35 News. And finally today, this Florida heat wave going on. You got to brace yourselves and make sure you hydrate over the next few days.
That is true. How many ways can we say hot?
7 by the looks of it. 1 for each day.
Thursday through Wednesday. Yes, my friend, it is going to be hot, hot, hot. We're talking scorching temperatures and very dry conditions all over again. Temps are going to climb into the mid to upper 90s, and we're expected to stay right there, just like you see across the board. Stay that way at least until the middle or end of next week. And this is really important because as the temperatures warm, a lot of people are looking to get outside. There are plenty of activities happening around the Orlando area this weekend. People, of course, will be going to the beach, like you see right there, Daytona Beach. And we also have the Welcome to Rockville happening in Daytona Beach, and a big Run Nona 5K. One of our colleagues, Kelsey Cairns, was in our afternoon meeting today saying that she had received notice. She's supposed to run in this race, and she had received notice that there is a moderate risk that it could be canceled because of the dangerously high temperatures that we're expecting to see this weekend. So have to keep in mind that events might be canceled. And if they aren't, definitely take advantage of all the water you can.
Yeah, you got to take precautions in this because it doesn't take long to get overheated. And with that humidity too, it just the way the sweat, it just kind of beads up on your skin. It can be a dangerous situation and get that way very quickly.
Very quickly.
Yeah. Something to certainly keep in mind and be aware of. Well, that is today's Top 4 at 4. Marlisa, we appreciate you joining us. We're going to take a break here on Fox 35 News Plus, but we'll be right back.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Wymer, and thanks for joining us on this Thursday afternoon, live on Fox Local and on YouTube. Governor Ron DeSantis was in Dade City this afternoon. He was there to sign the Florida Farm Bill that the legislature passed earlier in this session. It also includes a ban on fluoride additives to water, and Florida becomes, I believe, the second state to ban adding fluoride to community water systems. Wilton Simpson, the Florida Commissioner of Agriculture, spoke at this event earlier today, this bill signing, and talked a little bit about what the bill does.
Thank you, Governor, and thank you for being here today. This is at least 60 people that we were anticipating being here today. I really appreciate everyone coming and the interest on this bill. It's very important to agriculture, not only agriculture though, but consumers of the state of Florida. And just as a note, this is our third year in a row now we've gotten our Farm Bill signed, so we're very proud of that accomplishment also. And the governor mentioned it. In the last few years, we've done a lot of things like ban fake meat, ban foreign enemies from buying our ag land. But this year's bill is uniquely, I think, positioned over consumers and agriculture. The fluoride ban the governor mentioned, we learned all of these things during COVID, what governments are willing to do to our population. And I've said this several times, I've kind of regretted it. I was like, well, what's next? They're going to put Ozempic in our water, right? Because they know better than us. We should all lose a bunch of weight. And so anyways, we've banned that this year in the Farm Bill. We're very proud of that. All medications, water should hydrate, not medicate. We've been very clear on that. The ESG lending practices, the governor was one of the first to fight against that in this state. In the legislature, when I served in there, we did many bills fighting these efforts. But we've discovered that in agriculture, they're still in our lending standards. So this year, we are banning it from agriculture. We do not want to buy into the 2035 rules, the 2050 rules, because what their goal is really just to put us out of business. And so no small farmer could comply with these types of discrimination. So in this bill, it offers a lot of opportunities for us to not only sue but fine these organizations if they choose to use ESG lending practices. We also deal with drones in this bill. That's another one. After this bill is signed today, people will not be able to fly over your agricultural property and harass your livestock, your animals, your people without written consent of the farmer. Now, if you give them consent, they can certainly do that. Sportsmen, hunters, shooting ranges and things, they will not be able to harass those organizations without potentially spending some time in jail, which is something we have not had in the past. Protects food labeling, right? We have soy milk and almond milk and all of these things and things that they call meat that have nothing to do with milk or meat. If it's not grown on a hoof, you're not going to be able to call it meat. And if it's not out of an udder, you're not going to be able to call it milk. So we're very proud of that in this Farm Bill. Now, we've banded together. There are going to be multiple states around the country that are going to have to sign this, the Southeastern, to make this official, because we don't want people to have mislabeled food products, and we're not, this bill identifies that. We also protect our Second Amendment rights. A lot of people still get the concealed carry license even though you're not required to in the free state of Florida. You don't have to get it, but if you do get it, before we had several loopholes that this bill is consolidating, which will make it much quicker for people to receive those permits. And the last thing I really wanted to mention about this, and I'm very proud of this, with our FFA and 4-H students. So when you think about what we've done in the last 3 years for those kids, 3 years ago we did a grant program in the legislature that said, if you're going to participate in the FFA, we will grant the dollars for parents, because a lot of parents wanted to participate, couldn't afford it. We went from 30,000 kids 3 years ago to over 60,000 kids today that are participating in FFA. We're very proud of that. And then we come to step 2 of that, is that then the school systems would not allow them to have an excused absence to participate in FFA and 4-H events. So last year, we said, you know what, we're not going to do that any longer. It is an excused absence, mandatory excused absence to participate in 4-H and FFA events. So checkbox number 2. And then this year, it's about zoning. Well, we would love to participate in FFA and 4-H, but our zoning won't allow us to build those type of facilities at our schools. This Farm Bill says that no, in an educational facility, you can build that infrastructure to help support agriculture. So we believe when this bill is signed, that this is going to really unleash the full efforts of parents and children that want to participate in agriculture, FFA and 4-H. I was talking to the Federation of Fairs this morning. I said, get ready. In 2 or 3 years, when these barns go into these cities and communities where they currently can't have them, you're going to have a lot more FFA kids show up at your schools, a lot more 4-H kids show up at the schools. So we're very proud of what you're doing here today, Governor. You've been a champion on these issues. Our Senate President's here today. I know he's speaking next. We're very proud of the legislature. I was in the legislature. It was different then. We were saying yes or no to things. Today we're now begging. But the legislature has been very good to the Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services. Very proud to have the President here today.
We're going to take a break here on Fox 35 News Plus, but we'll be right back.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. The Orlando Valkyries were celebrated today at City Hall in Orlando. They brought their championship trophy with them. You may remember last weekend in Las Vegas, they won the 2025 Pro Volleyball Federation Championship. They had that trophy with them today as Orlando Mayor Buddy Dyer and some other city officials as well welcomed them, celebrated them, also gave them a key to the city during a celebration earlier today.
We are thrilled to welcome the PVF champions to the City Hall. Welcome, Valkyries. So around here we have a little saying, and it goes, these are the days that we live for, when they're happy days, and it's a pretty happy day when you celebrate a championship here in the city of Orlando. So I'm incredibly proud that Orlando was recognized last year as the nation's top sports destination by Sports Business Journal. And we had been saying that locally for a long time, but it's nice to have an objective standard to say that as well. And we know that we know how to host big events, but we also have hometown teams that residents like to cheer on. In our newest professional team, the Valkyries, they don't have a long history in our community, but they do have a Major League championship in just the second year. That's pretty incredible if you think about it. And not only that, but they're inspiring girls in our community to dream big. So I believe that the Valkyries epitomize the values of Orlando. The team embraces diversity with players from all over the country, all over the globe, I guess, actually. And I think it's incredibly fitting that the two Orlando teams that have won Major League championships are both women's teams. So I can officially declare that Orlando is the city of champions for women's sports. So who won volleyball last year? Omaha. Well, I know Omaha does not have another professional team, so we are probably the only city in America that has two women's Major League Sports championship. Pretty cool. So Commissioner Rose is here. Join us. Would you come up with me, Commissioner Rose? And David Foreman, thank you for investing in our community and in women's sports. David, would you join us up here? Amy and the players, join us all. I have a proclamation that I'd like to read and have you guys up here with us. To recognize this historic... To recognize this historic achievement, I'd like to share a City of Orlando proclamation. Whereas there is nothing that unites communities like sports, Orlando is fortunate to have hometown teams that bring residents together and foster pride in our community. And whereas the Orlando Valkyries are the newest addition to our sports scene, having launched in 2024, and whereas a member of the Pro Volleyball Federation, the team competes in the premier volleyball league in North America. And whereas earlier this week, the Valkyries became just the second Orlando team to win a major league title by claiming the PVF championship with a 3-1 victory over Indicted. And whereas Orlando capped its second season with 7 consecutive victories, playing with great skill, determination, and teamwork. And whereas the City of Orlando is proud of our champion Valkyries and thrilled that the PVF championship is now home in Orlando. Now, therefore, I, Buddy Dyer, Mayor of the City of Orlando, and the entire Orlando City Council do hereby proclaim May 15th, 2025 as Orlando Valkyries Championship Celebration Day in the City of Orlando. And I don't do this very often, so this is pretty special. I'm going to also present the ultimate Orlando gift, and that is the key to the city. So wherever you go, know that you are welcome in the city of Orlando and celebrated in the city of Orlando. Congratulations.
Yeah, how cool is that? Quite a celebration. They certainly earned that and deserve that after the season they had and bringing home that PVF championship. Congratulations to the Valkyries. We're going to take a break here on Fox 35 News Plus, but we'll be right back after this.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Wymer. Thanks for joining us on this Thursday afternoon. It was quite the sight to see for some Florida cruisers as they watched from their balconies as their ship saved some migrants from sea. Fox 35's Esther Bauer joins us live now via Zoom. And Esther, I imagine that whole situation came as quite a surprise to those folks you talked to.
Yeah, we talked with a cruise passenger who says she was getting ready to go down to eat some food. You do a lot of that while cruising. And she noticed like this out in the ocean. She was able to register. It's not just something floating. It's actually a boat full of people. So she started taking video of that and being like, what is going on? Why is there a boat that is so far out in the open ocean? Then she heard the Carnival Paradise captain come online and let the passengers know, hey, there's this boat that seems to be struggling, so we're going to do a full-on turnaround. We're going to change course and we're going to go see if these people on this very small boat need some additional help. So that's what they did. What you're watching right now is actually the Carnival ship that they were able to lower into the sea and then go out and make contact with 15 people that are on a makeshift raft sailing off the coast of Cuba. We just heard from Carnival Cruise Lines, who confirmed that this ship was successful in making this save. Important to point out, though, only 5 people came onto the cruise ship. 10 others accepted food, water, and fuel, but said we're going to continue on their journey. The woman said the boat was tarped on the bottom. So when you say raft, I mean, it really is a makeshift raft, but they did not want to get on this ship. They want to continue going wherever they could be headed. All the passengers said is we are praying for them that they will make it safely. But she's a frequent cruiser, but had never seen something like this before. So she is absolutely shocked. happy that 5 were saved and really happy that someone spotted that boat.
How common is a situation like this? How common is it for these cruise ships to do operations like this?
So I was actually doing a little bit of research, and for this specific cruise ship, this Carnival Paradise, they actually last year saved almost 30 people that were also in a similar boat like this in the middle of the ocean, and they came on board. So I think it happens more than we think, but unfortunately, the passenger also told us she talked with some of the staff, and she said they respond to boats that they see in the ocean, and sometimes when they get out there, the passengers have already passed. So in this situation, she was very happy. Everyone was alive. Everyone seemed to be well. But they're just on these, small boats, taking trips, trying to get somewhere. We're not sure where they're eventually heading, but just hoping that they make it. Now, for the 5 who did come on board, Carnival just shared a statement. U.S. Coast Guard has been notified, and a transport of some sort is going to be taking place. When they realize where these people were from, they're going to try to get them back to there. And I'm not sure if I said happened off the coast of Cuba.
Okay, so what happens next then is they will be taken back to where they came from, ostensibly Cuba.
Yes, absolutely. They are in Jamaica right now. That's where the cruise ship is. So it stayed on course, but some kind of transport needs to be made, whether that happens at the Jamaica port or if they stay on and go somewhere else. But the Coast Guard is now involved. This is more of a law enforcement situation, but at least for the 5 that were taken on board, they are safe.
All right, Fox 35's Esther Bauer, we appreciate you joining us here on Fox 35 News Plus.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Now we want to go to another story out of Brevard County where we're learning about an off-duty police sergeant who is charged with DUI. Fox 35's Randy Hildreth tracking this story today, joins us live now via Zoom. And Randy, what happened here?
Hey, good evening to you. So that is one of several charges. This he's since been terminated, but this suspect has since racked up. So to walk you forward, police in Palm Bay responded to a hit and run crash on Tuesday. If you're familiar with this area, this was off Malabar Road and Babcock Street. And when they responded, they encountered, and this is according to the arrest affidavit, the person whose car was hit and at least 2 witnesses. And in their discussion with law enforcement and recapping what happened, they said that the person who was involved in this hit and run crash, one, has left the scene. And they believe that the person was under the influence. They described the person as swerving before the crash and fumbling with controls and rolling down the wrong window when they approached. And they recorded that incident. And law enforcement then used that to ID the suspect in the car. They have been identified as Patrick White, and then the tag of that vehicle. And they used that information to track the suspect down. Law enforcement said they were able to find Patrick White about 2 hours later, close to the crash site in a parking lot. And in the arrest affidavit, they note once they found him, he got out the car, appeared to be stumbling. And in the arrest affidavit, they note that White told them that he had been drinking and admitted to law enforcement that he was drunk. We have that context, and as they started digging into his background, realized that he was working at the Melbourne airport, that at the time of the crash, he was driving one of the law enforcement vehicles that he used that he would have been using while he was on duty. He was off duty at the time, but was driving his work truck at the time of this alleged hit and run.
So I think you mentioned it at the beginning. What has happened, though, to his law enforcement role?
So we did reach out to the airport to confirm some information. One, they said that he had only worked there for a short period of time, less than a month. I think they said even less than 3 weeks. Since this incident, since the arrest, they confirmed that he has been terminated, that vehicle, his work truck that he was allegedly driving at the time, the vehicle was unauthorized, and that vehicle has since been returned to the airport. White was in court this week and has since bonded out of jail.
All right, Fox 35's Randy Hildreth. We appreciate you joining us this afternoon here on Fox 35 News Plus.
Thank you.
We are going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with more right after this.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Live look at Daytona Beach from our Hard Rock Hotel camera. Not a whole lot of people on the beach right now. Maybe they're all at Daytona International Speedway for the first day of Welcome to Rockville. Now, earlier today, Volusia County Sheriff Mike Chitwood spoke with reporters about the sheriff's office experience with Rockville and their plans for making sure folks stay safe.
So the big thing that came out of last year's concert was we had 522 victims of theft, whether it was their cell phone, their credit cards, their driver's license. We had a group of South American transnational gang that works the United States. They go to all big venues, and that's what they look to do. They look to steal cell phones, wallets, credit cards, whatever they can do. So this year, the Border Patrol asked us if we need help, and we said, absolutely, what can you give us? So they're roughly going to give us 24 agents to work with us so that if we come across this issue again, they can automatically take them into federal custody, as opposed to what we did last year was we kept notifying them because we made 8 arrests. 7 of them had entered the country illegally. Some of them had warrants out on there for them. Some of them had criminal histories from other states, and one of them was a quote-unquote asylum seeker. There were probably 50 of them. They were in here with backpacks, change of clothes. We tracked cell phones as far as South America and China. In the continental United States, we tracked them to Virginia, Tampa, and Miami. So we're ready for that. We didn't see that threat coming. We didn't have any inkling it would happen. But if it happens this year, like I said, we have the feds out there with us now.
I know you probably don't want to give away how much, the specific numbers, but dozens of
I will tell you, the Border Patrol sent in probably 20 to 24 agents in to be embedded with us. And, we're out there. I mean, we have snipers on the rooftops. We have other agencies in Volusia County are out there with us. All of our stuff is out there, bomb squad, SWAT team, detectives. So there's a heavy police presence. We want people to come and have a good time. But at the same token, whenever there's a special event, you need to be on guard because there are people who are coming to that event to try to make a living by pilfering off of you, even car breaks. Just because you're coming to a concert and you're parking a lot, don't assume that it's safe. I can leave my purse or whatever on the back seat or on the front seat. Somebody is going to take advantage of that opportunity.
And a lot of it, I imagine, is probably the classic pickpocketing, maybe bumping in the crowd. Is that kind of what you ran into?
What they did was they worked the mosh pit. I'm not old enough. I'm too old to know what a mosh pit is, but I learned really fast. So when people were being passed around and dropping stuff, or their arms went up and people were banging into one another, it's a perfect opportunity to lift your cell phone, lift your wallet. And one of the things I would caution people on is, please do not put your credit card and your driver's license with your phone. Because if you lose your phone, as Channel 6 is doing right here for me right now, demonstrating, because now they got everything. They got your driver's license, they got your credit card. In some cases, we were able to see that the person was in the mosh pit and the bad guy was on the phone yards away ordering stuff off of Amazon to get it sent to different places.
And some good advice there. Hopefully no repeats of that happening this year. Now, the sheriff also spoke with Fox 35's Chris Lindsay about a high-speed car chase out of New Smyrna Beach that ended at a Titusville gas station. Here's what the sheriff said about that.
Right place, right time. Southbound on 95. I hear New Smyrna try to stop a black pickup truck. They knew who the driver was. He was driving on a suspended driver's license, as he has done repeatedly. He got up on 95. I was behind him, and we chased him down to the 233 exit in Brevard. A lot of great help from Air One and our communications folks, and from all of the Volusia County policing agencies. He never exceeded, I don't think his car could exceed 100, but he got it up to 100. He was out on the shoulder passing cars. He got off on one of the off ramps and did some crazy maneuvers and got back on again. And then his most crazy maneuver was when he got off on the 233, he headed eastbound in the westbound lanes, crossed the median, and then headed southbound in the northbound lanes of I-95. And that's where, obviously, we didn't chase him anymore. And then about 20 minutes later, Brevard found his vehicle unoccupied at the next exit and took the clown into custody. So he's looking at aggravated fleeing and eluding, and I would tell you, based on his criminal history, we're hoping he don't see the day of light for light of day for quite a while.
What was your mind's frame? I know a lot of it's probably just instinct snapping into it, but if you could...
I think if you listen to the radio transmission, one of the things, he just wasn't going to pull over. Just wasn't going to pull over. I had just filled my gas tank up, so I was like, hey, we can go to Miami. I got a full tank of gas here. I got 350 miles on my tank, so you keep driving. Eventually, we're going to get you. And he paid the price. And sadly, is the guy has complete disregard for human life whatsoever. To drive southbound in the northbound lanes in I-95 at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, how nobody got killed, I don't know. But thank the good Lord that nobody got hurt. And like I said, Brevard took him into custody, and we charged him up with aggravated fleeing and eluding from our chase on 95. New Smyrna had charges, Brevard had charges. And like I said, I hope it's a long time before he gets behind the wheel of a car again.
How interesting is it when you have all these agencies kind of working in tandem? I know you guys have a system in place, but it seems like it works pretty well.
It worked really well. When I was the lead car and you're looking in your rearview mirror and you got everybody behind you, you're going to get him. It was just a matter of could Air One get up fast enough to get over top, because once that thing gets up, you're not getting away ever. You're not out running a helicopter. And then obviously you got Brevard's coming from the other direction. So. My
last thing on this, what message do you think it sends to people to know that their sheriff is really willing to put his boots on the ground and kind of...
My badge says the same thing all of my deputies' badges say. Just because you're the sheriff doesn't mean you don't jump in there and do what you need to do when the opportunity presents itself. My handcuffs work too.
He said he's in the right place at the right time for that, and glad everything ended safely. No one ended up getting hurt. We're going to take a break here on Fox 35 News Plus. We'll be right back.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus, a live look at Epic Universe and the Stardust Racers. Saw those coaster cars rolling on the track just a minute ago. Not sure where they went. Those things move fast, though. I'll tell you what. 1 week from the opening of Epic Universe, grand opening May 22nd, the Thursday, heading into Memorial Day weekend. After talking about it for years, the opening is finally just about here. And earlier today, we spoke about it with John and Angie Bowden. They're from the Love Our Life vlog at Love Our Life vlog on YouTube. There's those Stardust Racer cars. We talked with them about the opening of the park and what you need to know, some strategies as well if you are heading out for the grand opening.
I went to Universal back in '93 with my dad, like when I was 6 years old, so it's like crazy to see it come full circle. We've been covering this park for the last 3 to 4 years under the construction and talking about it and stuff. So it's like really mind blowing that we are a week away now. It's just crazy to what this park is going to be and what it's going to mean for future generations 50 years from now. It's really crazy to think about.
I want to get y'all's thoughts on because I know you have had the chance to experience the park, and so I just want to give your kind of overall thoughts on what you think sets it apart.
Well, I think it's definitely different than the original parks. I think it's more of a bring your whole family type of park. I feel like it's definitely something that is unique in the way of like Celestial Park. It's its own theme park inside of a park. It's five. I've heard other people describe it as 5 separate theme parks, and it almost is. But I do think it's set apart from the technology side of it. Everything that they're doing through like the portals, the ambience of the whole park, the music of the park, the food, which is phenomenal. It's the best theme park food I think out there right now. They're doing a lot of great things, and this park is a game changer, and it's revolutionary for sure.
Angie, what is your favorite of the different worlds?
I think Celestial Park because I like to just walk around, like take it all in. So I think that's my favorite because you get to see all the beautiful buildings and the fountain, and it's just really pretty.
John, what about you? What's your favorite?
I gotta let all of our theme park fans in on this. Dark Universe, definitely my favorite. But I would say that a very close second, surprising for me, is Isle of Berk. I didn't think I would really like that much, but I ended up loving it. I think it's just fantastic, and kids and families everywhere, they're going to be blown away by how amazing it is.
Now, we have seen in previews, it seems like Universal has kind of been working through some technical difficulties with some of these rides, a number of them kind of being down at different points. Is that something we should be concerned about as we get closer to the grand opening?
I mean, I don't think so. I was there just this last week and had lunch at the Blue Dragon restaurant, which is amazing. And I purposely went out to make a video about, is this park ready to open? And while I was there, there was not one problem, not one, no pun intended, hiccup with the entire park. Every ride was going except for Battle at the Ministry, which I have had the chance to ride. I don't think it's something that, necessarily you should be concerned about. I think that you should just know that this is a brand new theme park that's opening. There may or may not be a few hiccups along the way, but I think it's well worth the price of admission with all the things that you can do, because it's definitely not a one-day park.
Yeah, what is your advice for folks who are going to be going for the grand opening, as far as maybe some strategies for how to experience this?
Yeah, so one thing I would suggest is get there early. I've talked to some colleagues of mine, and some people are getting there as early as 4 a.m. Now, I don't know if the parking lot is opening that early, but I do know some people are going to get there that early. Also, I would suggest starting at the back of the park, hit Dark Universe or the new Wizarding World of Harry Potter, Ministry of Magic area first, because everyone's going to go for Super Nintendo. Everyone's going to hit Isle of Berk. I think that's the better choice. And then in the afternoon, you can work your way back to Nintendo in Isle of Berk.
What about you? We talked a little bit about the food, and I know you said it's some of the best theme park food that's out there. There are some items that have gotten a lot of attention. What would you say is a must eat on day one at Epic Universe?
Okay, so I'm a pretzel guy. So the best thing that I've tried at the park is the Hunter steak pretzel. That's steak like a knife. It's in the shape of a steak, and it's at the Burning Blade Tavern. I think it's like around $11, but it's like dipped in garlic, and they have a garlic sauce you can dip it in. That topped with the monocane mocktail, it's a mocktail, it's non-alcoholic. It is a great combo together. And then the other thing I would suggest as well is probably the DK Dole Whip barrel. I think that's a really good thing in Super Nintendo world. It's top notch.
What about a must-see show? Maybe something that's not necessarily a ride, but that folks are definitely going to need to check out.
I've heard a lot of people talking about the Untrainable Dragon, which I really enjoyed, but I would say Le Cirque d'Arcanu is actually my favorite show out of the two. This is the new Wizarding World of Harry Potter show, and it deals with the Fantastic Beasts era of the Wizarding World. There's just unique things that they do there, and there's like a pre-show beforehand that's like its own little show. Without giving any spoilers, I would say that it has very unique dynamics to that show that make it very enjoyable and something you would want to take your family to over and over again.
What are you most looking forward to? I want answers from both of you on this. The thing you're most looking forward to once Epic has its grand opening.
You want to go first?
You go first.
Okay. I think I'm looking forward to eventually being able to have an annual pass and being able to go often, and just to say, hey, do you want to go to Epic tonight and have dinner? And that's the kind of thing, I feel like that's another vibe of the park, that it's just a walk around with your friends and enjoy the sights and sounds of the park.
And I think I'm like a people watcher, and so I really love when I see like families enjoying each other and like having such a good time, and just seeing like how they're seeing things for the first time and how excited that they are.
Definitely a lot to be excited about. Again, the grand opening coming up on the 22nd. That is 1 week from today. And I will go ahead and let you know, we will have a lot of streaming coverage that day, all day, from Epic Universe, with a lot of talking to a lot of theme park bloggers and experts and all kinds of things. We'll have live reports. David Martin going to be out there, of course. So he'll be out there quite a bit. And so we've got a lot of coverage planned for Epic Universe and the grand opening. Well, that is going to do it for us here on Fox 35 News Plus this afternoon. We appreciate you joining us today here on Fox Local, fox35orlando.com, and also on YouTube. I will go ahead and send things out to Studio B here in just a minute, where John and Luann are getting ready for the start of that newscast. But we appreciate you joining us. We're here every day, 11 a.m., 2 p.m., and 4 p.m. here on Fox Local, and other times as news warrants. We carried a news conference today outside of those hours, breaking news, of course, as well. So you can just put your TV on Fox Local and leave it. And you can also download Fox Local app on your cell phone. All right, that's going to do it for us. Fox 35 News at 5 begins in less than a minute right here on Fox Local.